What's up, guys? Mike down here in the dungeon, and I'm gonna tell you why your epistemology matters, and then I'm gonna give you a dose of truth about the real world here. Okay, so why your epistemology matters. What is epistemology? It's basically your end times view. So if you're a Christian, this has to do mainly with your views on like the rapture and the second coming of Christ and Armageddon and all this, right? Okay, so let's assume for a second, let's step into fantasy land and let's assume that these things are actually gonna happen. Okay, so there's three, but there's two main views. Okay, there's premillennialism. Let me say that again. Premillennialism, and there's post-millennialism. There's also another one, amillennialism, but we're not going to cover that. If you're a premillennial, what that means is basically this, is that things are going to continue to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and then Jesus is going to come back. Okay? If you're a post-millennial, what you think is that things are going to get better, that you have that basically that Christ's kingdom will be established on earth, and then Christ will come and sit on his throne. Okay, these are basically the two. Now, there's a lot more nuances and different things, but that's basically what these people that believe this is what they believe. Okay, now, if you read the Bible literally, and you read it literally, I think that the premillennial view that things are going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse until God comes back is more accurate to the text. Okay, it's more in line with what the text actually says if you're reading it literally. However, if your view is that things are ever only going to get worse and worse and worse and worse, then you would be more likely to sell out the future for the present. How does that equate? How does that sort of transpire? Well, it basically means something like our economy and how we just keep kicking the can of debt down the road, because eventually, well, the world's going to end anyway, right? So basically what you are doing, if you are a premillennialist and you think things are going to continue to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, if that's your mentality, basically you are fucking over your children. You're fucking your children, because what you are doing is you are assuming that every generation is going to get worse and worse and worse. So you're basically, that's your mindset, and you don't really care about the future, which would make me wonder why you even fucking have children to begin with. But if you are a premillennialist, you are fucking over the future because you just think the future is going to be bad. Now, if you're the other way around, and you're a post-millennial, then you think the future will get better, so you have more sort of an initiative to try to make the world a better place. Okay, so that's why your epistemology matters. Okay, now I don't align with either one of these, and when I was a Christian, I would have aligned with the premillennial view of things are going to get worse and worse and worse. But you understand that's like brain rot. It's like that's a bad. It's a bad way to approach life, that you think the future is going to be worse than the present. Okay, you might as well have that fucking bag of chips. You might as well eat them donuts, baby, because the future is going to be worse. God is going to, the return of Christ is imminent. Okay? Now, whether or not you hold to that biblical view in the sense of like you're literally, like I said, that's what the Bible literally says. Okay? You ought to act as if the future is going to be better, or don't have fucking children. Okay? At least then you're fucking other people's children and not your own. Okay? These are just some hard facts. Now, if you're the other way, the post-millennial, like, I think they're kind of nuts, but in maybe a happier way. You know, they're both nuts. Premillennial, post-millennial, these people are all nuts. But if you're a post-millennial, you're like a happy nut. You're like a nut on Valium. But if you're a premillennial, you're like just a depressed nut. Okay? So don't be either one. And certainly don't sell out the fucking future. Like, you pieces of shit. I'm looking at you boomers. I'm looking at you Gen Z. Is it Gen Z or Gen X? Gen X. I'm looking at you, boomers, Gen X. You guys have fucking gotten us into the position we are now with this fucking economy. It's your fucking fault. It's your fucking fault because you sold out the fucking future. Now, I had a way to, what does this mean, like, in, how can we, if we're not a Christian, how does this equate to our lives? Okay, so here's the truth. The evil empire is going to win. Today is a Fortnite live event where we've all been playing this Star Wars thing, and we got with the blasters and lightsabers and all that. And today is the day where, like, the evil empire is gonna attack the island, and we gotta fight back, and we gotta sabotage the Death Star. Okay, and that's all well and good. And I'm sure, you know, well, I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm kind of curious to see. But anyway. In the real world, the evil empire wins. They are winning. They're winning. And they are going to win. Okay? If you don't know, there are two levels there's a two-tiered justice system. Okay? There's a justice system that all of us have to abide by, and then there's a second level of justice system for the elites. Okay? Where they get to buy the judges and they get to buy their judgments, basically. Okay, it's called arbitration. Look into it. It has to do with big mega corporations, but basically the evil empire is going to win. So knowing that is good. Okay, knowing that is good because you know that if the bad guys are going to win, then you have to if you want to, if you want to do the best that you can possibly do, then you've got to fight like the bad guys, right? So what does that mean? It doesn't mean, this is what it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean that you sit around and you wait for things to come to you, okay? This is sort of how, I don't know if my generation, I'm an old millennial. So my generation, and probably even maybe some of the generation before me, there's a generation there, lost generation or something they call it. We were told that if you go to college, okay, that you will be successful and that you will live a happy life, and you put your money in your 401k and whatever else, right? Like that's what we were told. Well, it turned out to be a big fucking lie, right? One of my favorite movies is Fight Club. Okay, if you haven't seen that movie, you should go back and watch it. It is probably one of the top 3 greatest movies that has ever been made, because it specifically talks about this. It specifically talks about the fact that an entire generation of people was sold a lie, and they figured out that it was a lie, and they're really fucking pissed off. That's sort of the theme of the movie. But you can wake up from this lie, and you can start to grab life by the balls. In a sense, you can start to play dirty. You need to play dirty if you want to be comfy, okay? If you're playing by the rules and you're going to your 9 to 5 and you're putting money in your 401k, you're going to end up fucking broke at the end of your life, or you're going to end up working till you're fucking 100. If you live that long, if something that you were sold doesn't kill you, but if you want to break free from that, it's sort of like what people talk about breaking free from the Matrix. That's the Matrix. We were convinced that the Matrix was real, and so many people are in the fucking Matrix and they're just playing by the rules. They're like NPCs and they're going out by the rules. No, not if you want to succeed, not even success. All right, we already talked about the evil empire is going to win. If you want to be comfortable, if you want to set yourself up in a way that where, like, when you get old, that you're comfortable, okay? Because that's the best it's going to get for you and me. It's the best thing that we can hope for is when we get old and we can't work anymore, that we can still live a comfortable life, okay? Like, that's the best it's going to get for me and you, okay? you can't play by the rules. You gotta break through that shit. So you gotta start thinking outside the box. You gotta start thinking outside the box, and you gotta grab things by the horn. The older you are, the older you realize this. This is life after 40. If you've realized this after 40, you've really gotta grab it and you gotta squeeze. And they say, oh, well, you have more ability to take a risk when you're younger. It doesn't fucking matter. If you've never taken a fucking risk, you do it whenever the fuck you can, because that's your only fucking chance. Your only fucking chance is to take a risk. If you don't take any fucking risk and you're just doing your fucking 9 to 5, dude, you're not gonna have any money when you're older. You're gonna end up with a fucking reverse mortgage, or you're gonna end up like in a fucking nursing home or whatever the fuck it is. I mean, you're gonna be wishing for death. Okay? You gotta set yourself up. One of the ways to do that is to start playing in the stock market. The stock market represents the evil empire. Okay? Look, all these companies that you're buying stocks in on the stock market, that's the evil empire. So when I first got into stocks, which it hasn't been that long because I'm just now learning the money game and I'm just now learning how all this shit works. The first 3 stocks that I bought were all defense contractors. Why? Because I know that war is a constant, right? These people at the top make a lot of money off of war. So I bought into some defense contractors because I know that these stocks aren't going anywhere, and they are the definition of the evil empire. They are the evil empire. So look, you can start playing in the stock market and you buy money in the evil empire. You do. And essentially you're betting that the evil empire is going to win because they are. But you might as well get your piece. You got to get your piece. That's what I'm talking about. You got to go out and you got to grab your piece, because if you don't get your piece, okay? If you don't get your piece, you're gonna end up in a nursing home wishing for death. That's the way it is. It ain't like it used to be. It's not like it used to be. It's not like it used to be. It's not like you could put money in your retirement account and then when you get older, you can, like, the people that are old now are living okay. They're all right. But that ain't gonna be how it is for us. In 40 years, when I'm 80, if I haven't fucking broken the rules and I haven't taken my piece of the pie, I'm gonna be wishing to die. You understand? You gotta get it now. And you gotta get as much as you possibly can. All right? And I know this sounds like greedy or something, but that's not what it is, man. You've got to think about your future. You have to. And if you don't do it now, it's going to be too late to do it then. When you run out of energy, you're fucked. If you wait too long and you run out of energy, you're fucked. Okay, you got to do it now while you're young, while you have energy. And the younger you can learn this, the better off you're going to be. The more head start you get on this, dude, if you're 15 years old, start fucking investing in the stock market. I don't give a shit. You need to, because that's what's going to win. Those evil corporations are going to win. So you might as well get your fucking piece. Do whatever you can to get your piece. You got to get your piece. The inflation is going to go through the fucking roof, right? When I was younger, $1 million used to be a lot of money. $1 million ain't that much money now. It's not. If you retire with $1 million right now, you might run out of money before you die. Okay? Like, you got to get your piece. You got to get it. You got to go out there and you got to grab it and do whatever it is. Start a business, invest in the stock market, break the rules, figure out all the tax loopholes. Whatever you got to do to get the money and understand the money game, do it now. That way, when you're 80, you won't be wishing for death.